Hey everyone, I'm Eric. This is my wife Julie. We are the Blended Life, and welcome to tonight's episode.
Hey you guys.
Tonight, we have a lot. Julie has brought a list of lots of your topics. So, what are our topics tonight?
Well, we're just gonna have to read through situations.
Okay.
So, but I did want to say, if you're commenting on Instagram, I can't read that far away. We are down a device. So if you want to talk to us, or it's really loud music. If you want to talk to us, hop over to our YouTube channel and we'll be able to talk back and forth with you guys on our YouTube channel. I'm not going to be able to type or read your comments on Instagram.
So go to YouTube.
But go to YouTube.
That's what she's saying.
Or you can watch us. I just can't see.
Or go to YouTube.
Or go to YouTube. Eventually we're going to stop the Instagram live and exclusively be on YouTube. That'll probably be in the next couple weeks. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go.
We would love to have you guys as subscribers, honestly.
Search out awesome. Blended Life and subscribe, and then we can talk back and forth.
We also have a giveaway tonight. We talked about it last week, connecting the book. So stay tuned for that, because we have details on how you can win your own signed copy of Connecting.
So you're going to have to listen to the whole episode if you're interested.
It's coming at the end, huh?
It's coming at the end.
All right.
We're mean like that. But it's a really great book, and I wrote this on our pages, but what I do love about this book is it's all the information without being overwhelming, where you're just sitting there with a book that 3 inches
textbook.
thick, and you're like, fuck, where do I start? Wow. How do I implement
When does Julie
this?
start? Right now.
So it's a great read. It's concise. You can get through it in a day or two. Really relatable, good information, very clear, easy to understand.
On how to connect with your children, your teenage children.
Well, and just
to be
how
exact.
to be able to control situations in your home.
Mm-hmm.
And how to have a household that is respectful.
Yeah.
That's how important. To deal with conflict.
Especially in a blended family, man. How hard is it to have a respectful family, like full 360? So
yeah,
awesome book for this.
Talks about, patience, which is a really important topic, and forgiveness.
I need to keep reading that chapter.
There's 4 chapters, like I said, but some things are a hard pill to swallow, but if you implement them, I believe that you will have a better household because of it. But we'll get to that later. So we're going to start just going through everything that we're going to talk about.
Your manifest?
Well, here's what I love. I love that we have an audience, or enough people who trust us to write in and ask our opinion or share their lives and their situations with us, because I can only talk about our family so much. And I don't even know if it's so healthy for us when we start just talking about topics that we deal with.
Right.
It's much better for us, I think, to be able to share ourselves in other people's drama.
Yeah. So we appreciate that, you guys. Thank you.
Anyway.
Get us off our own subject.
All right. Topic. So first thing, So everything's anonymous tonight, obviously. So first person wrote in and
said, that was anonymous. That was not me.
My stepchild may have COVID. She's getting the test today. She has 1 toddler half sibling and 1 set of step-parents at each of her homes. Understanding this is totally a personal decision, how are blended homes handling custody arrangements during this pandemic, especially when a known case of COVID exists?
That's a scary situation. Well, first of all, we hope and pray for the best for you, because that's scary.
Stepdaughter.
Yeah. Well, for you, for your family, for yous.
Yeah. So, if you are unsure if a child in either home has COVID, child should stay put.
Or any disease for that matter, or virus going around. Chicken pox,
measles,
or
mumps,
the flu. Yeah. It's best to keep that child in the place that they are at that time, because that's already
contaminated.
a contaminated sick zone.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. No one wants that. But sometimes, and we've actually had this talk at the beginning of all this, like if someone is to get this, or if one of the kids has something, like, do we just leave them be, even though they might be at the other house, and it would be so hard for us because we're selfish like that, just want our kids? Do we just leave them at the other house, and or if they're with you, do you keep them? But that then comes down to co-parenting, right? And what's in the best interest for not only the child but both sets of families.
Yeah. But I think until you know if this child has it or not, the child should stay put in whatever home, she's in
Yeah.
until either way. And then when either way, I think that's when you make the call. Obviously, it's probably safer to keep the child if if she has COVID,
Right.
just isolated from everyone. I don't even think if you have COVID, you're allowed to come out of your bedroom.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
people were like room to room isolating. Like, I haven't seen my wife in 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, hon. I have COVID. I gotta go.
Oh, me too. Bye.
I call the house.
Oh my gosh.
Dibs.
You have a whole lake.
Oh, I call the lake. Dibs.
Okay. So yeah, and I know people are really handling this differently. I know there's a lot of issues right now when I've talked to people that one household's very cognizant of social distancing and wearing masks and being really responsible, and the other household is out and about, having sleepovers, and it's hard when both homes are on the same page,
Right.
and it brings up a whole nother can of worms. What if somebody has a compromised immune system?
Yep.
And your stepkids come back and that other house hasn't respected anything.
Right, and now you have someone
They're out licking handrails, and then they come back into your home.
Remember that at Disneyland? Did we talk about that once?
We have.
We told you guys about the kid licking the handrails at Disneyland.
It was really
It
disgusting.
was really disgusting. Like,
like it was
a lot of people are listening to this, so I
popsicle.
needed to give them a visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's just so much that comes into play. But I think that if you're a step parent with a compromised immune system, and it's time for the kids to see their bioparent, I think maybe you remove yourself from that home so that the kids can still connect with their parent. Is that weird? Is that wrong?
You know what?
If you're able
is
to.
Is it wrong? No, not at all. Because
go stay with your parents or something.
because you need to play it safe, and look out. But
then what if the kids give it to the bioparent and then you can never come home? I don't know. There's
the lake
a whole,
it is.
But it is really a touchy subject because there's so many moving parts and pieces and variables
But you know what? And everything's changing every single day. Like today in California, I haven't even heard this yet, but you told me that now all of a sudden it's required that everyone wears a mask anywhere in public. We're like, come on. Like,
if you're
really?
outside standing in line to get into a store, but you're not in the store, you're just outside in line, you're required to wear a mask. If you're in an Uber,
we had to do that last week, or
a
couple weeks ago when we were getting your Mother's Day present. Like outside in the breezy, windy air, and they're like, you have to put on a mask, sir. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Forget about the fresh air. Some people are all about it. And if you're all about it, like, great. If you have a compromised immune system, wear that mask, Like, there's no reason not to take the precautions if you feel the need for them. But also, if you're just, like, not into it, I also think, like, okay, well, I'm taking the risk. I'm willing to be sick. And it comes down to kind of the controversial, not the same thing, but same but different. It's a lot like vaccinations. If someone feels the need to be vaccinated, like, great, get your vaccines. If not, don't get them. But just because there's just so many variables to each one.
Well, and that's it. And when you have a blended family, everybody has a different opinion.
So many cooks in the kitchen.
Everyone has a different outlook on life,
Right.
I tend to look at life like we all have an expiration date. I believe our ends are already written. So if I'm going to die from COVID, I'm going to die from COVID, not that I can't be respectful, like why I would wear a mask personally is for other people.
That's really
not
kind of the
even
only
for
reason why you
myself.
have worn one, right? Or
Yeah,
you,
I mean, like, I'm not going to go lick handrails or, lick faces of runny noses as I'm walking by. Like,
come on.
But I feel like I can be respectful to other people by, wearing a mask or whatever. But, I feel like if I'm supposed to get hit by a car, I'll get hit by a car.
Come on, let's go outside. Let's do this. Remember, we were in the Walmart parking lot. Was it Walmart? I think it was a grocery store or Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a grocery store within the Walmart parking lot the other day, and there was a guy wearing literally a Halloween costume mask, and it was pretty amazing. I actually have pictures. I have pictures on my phone, you guys.
Wasn't it Thor?
No, it was.
It was like a
one
full
of the
helmet.
It was like one of the Star Wars.
But it was a helmet.
Is it Bubba Fett? Is that the right word, you guys? I'm not a Star Wars guy.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's who it was. It was
Yeah.
The knight-looking guy.
Yeah.
My sister knew who it was. They're Star Wars nerds.
So, I don't know. I think that everyone kind of it's not helpful when I say everyone has to figure it out for themselves, but I think blended families are just doing every situation, I think, is what's being done. I know at the beginning, people, before they understood COVID or how to get it,
who understands it now? Raise your hand if you understand it.
But I think people were being like, I'm just going to leave my kids or stepkids at the other house until this just ends.
And then it has never
ended.
It's been
months. Could you imagine not seeing your kids for months?
Well, it took like a 2-week hiatus, and then it's back.
So I think that if you have a kid in question, though, you shouldn't pass them back and forth between houses. If you are concerned that a child has COVID for any reason, you should leave them there until you're tested and you have figured it out.
I have a few kids in question, not for COVID, but just in question.
Oh my gosh.
Can we just leave them all where they are?
Everyone's saying tested. I don't see anything wrong with getting tested. So if you have kids that are crossing state, borders and like they're traveling right now, there's nothing wrong with having them get tested before they come into your home.
And here's a little fun fact, too. I know everyone thinks that
I feel like
all the numbers, you and I just had this conversation, all the numbers are climbing like, oh, it's like a second spike or it's incline or anything. So you guys, I don't know if a lot of you are aware of this, and some people might want to correct me on this anyways. It's actually not a huge spike happening right now. It's actually a lot more people are getting tested nowadays. So they're finding a lot more people have COVID-19.
Yeah, but then again,
that just reminded me of
we're opening back up and people are going to be around other people. So it's also not unlikely that it's going to spread.
Yeah.
If you don't want to get it or you're afraid of getting it, don't go out, remain doing what you've been doing.
Or put on a Bubba Fett mask.
Or wear Can you wear a
full-blown respirator?
Full-blown respirator?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. A mask also, doesn't filtrate a lot. Most of these are dust masks. You're still getting air. You're still getting particles. Like, for instance, I work in a nuclear power plant sometimes, and, the reactor core area doing all of this nuclear stuff.
Yeah.
If I wear a respirator with the wrong type of filter on it, or if I wear a dust mask, or if I wear something like everyone in COVID-19 is wearing, and there's airborne contamination, I'm still going to get that because I'm still breathing the air. It doesn't filtrate out everything. It only helps prevent. So, I mean, if you guys want full things, I'm just on another account. If you guys want a full-blown clean air experience, then you guys are going to need to get in an SCBA, full, breathing apparatus with proper filtration.
Yeah.
And maybe just go get in a scuba mask and go under the water because air doesn't travel underwater very easily.
Yeah. But, here's the thing. I think that everyone needs to be respectful of other people and not shame people for to wear a mask or not to wear a mask. That's people's choices. And, it's your choice to be someplace or not. And I just think we all need to be respectful of each other. If you're sick, you probably shouldn't be out until there's a vaccine.
But we're not your parents, so go out if you want.
Yeah. So, but I've heard of a lot of different ways that blended families are handling this, and maybe sometimes if you don't feel like you're comfortable having your kids in your home, you go out to a park now that they're open or the beach or somewhere and meet them. I can't imagine seeing that.
Be at the park, you guys.
I can't imagine not seeing your kids for a long time. I feel like there should be a way to go see them at least a little bit or FaceTime them. There's been a lot of that going on during this time. So, and everyone's, a second wave is coming and things are going to shut down again. And I hope not, for our economy's sake. I don't know how many businesses, including my own, would survive that. So,
Scary.
Okay. Moving on from that question. I'm not going to read. If you've written in for tonight's episode or this episode, I'm going to start paraphrasing.
Hey, that's a good word. Where'd you learn that? She sent me over tonight's topics. I said, hun, this isn't even going to fit on our description. It's way too long. So we apologize if we're paraphrasing.
Yeah.
It's a really good word.
Okay. So this is from a stepmom. She said that she gives backstory, but basically she says, I had a huge blow up at my significant other's kids. They were whining like typical, and I just lost my shit and snapped. I began to realize that I completely overstepped my role as the support to my significant other, and that I had become too involved in parenting his kids. The problem was he didn't want to do anything too mean to them because he has court looming over his head. The weekend I blew up at my significant other's kids was the same weekend we decided that he and his kids wouldn't spend the night at our house. So they had just moved in together.
Okay.
Okay.
It sounds like they're like boyfriend, girlfriend. They're not married yet.
They just had moved in together, and
significant other is what?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're dating. Okay. They would stay at their old place and not. So he basically just decided that I'm taking my kids and we're staying at our old place.
Okay.
And she said, well, I'm not sure what has really happened since, but my significant other has decided that he just can't live with me anymore in our home. He's fallen into a huge depression. He says his kids don't want to spend any time with him or be around him. And he tells me that he just can't be around me either. In the last week, we've started talking more. I'm trying to be supportive of him and what he's dealing with, but it's hard to see him so depressed, and it's even harder not to having him at home with me anymore. It's a big, huge mess, and I'm just barely handling it all. I'm not sure what advice you can give, but I just wanted to reach out. And she messaged me later with like a little bit of an update, and basically, since this was written, they've talked more.
Good.
And they've decided to try to work on things and try to figure out how to be together, because I think they both really want that. But his daughter or his kids just don't want anything to do with it.
Well, the kids are in a hard situation right now. And first off, good for her for realizing she overstepped or she mishandled it. However, because
she did say she wrote an apology letter.
Okay.
To the kids, but the stepdaughter will not read it, will not open it.
Well,
wants
also,
nothing to do with it.
real quick, before we go any further on that, if you wrote that letter, make sure that letter doesn't leave your house, because if that letter leaves your house and it goes to Biomom and Biomom misconstrues it and then gives it to lawyer, that could turn into a huge thing. So if that thing's still in your house, get a hold of that and get rid of it, because especially if stepdaughter doesn't want anything to do with it.
It's you admitting to you doing wrong.
Yeah, and the littlest, tiniest things can get so blown out of proportion. So I'm not a lawyer, but you want advice. I have experienced this. You want advice, anything like that, like get rid of it. It doesn't exist. Like especially in a situation like this where you didn't handle it right. You're going to work on changing it. You're going to go beat your dogs because they won't stop barking in your podcast. And, just work on getting better, but don't put that type of stuff out there in writing. It won't go good for you guys.
Yeah.
Communication, though. This is a communication thing. She sees him struggling. She's struggling without him. Obviously she wants to be with him. Otherwise she wouldn't be listening to this podcast trying to figure out how to make their blended family situation better, or even their relationship better.
What's advice? Because I've been there. I've been in this boat with you.
Right.
Where you've been super depressed and your family has fallen apart and you had no control, and you were would joke about driving your car off a cliff,
But now who jokes now?
That's where I'm at. So, but my question is, for women, dealing with a depressed man,
right?
what is some good advice to women
Be there for
in
him.
that situation?
Be there to listen, be there to talk, allow space if space is needed, but don't give too much space where you're like, I care about you, he cares about me, so don't be like, all right, well, I'll just give you space and I won't talk to you for the next 3 weeks, or the next month, because that doesn't keep your relationship growing. Be there, maybe if you need, time apart, like, hey, let's just not hang out this weekend. I have the kids or he has the kids, let's just take the weekend and do our thing with our own children. That's fine, but don't let it become a thing where you guys are just completely separate from one another and
Yeah. Well, and
too
it's
far
hard.
apart.
Like, how do you go forward when you've taken so many steps backwards? Like,
Right.
they were living together,
Yeah.
and
now they're
then
taking it
stepdaughter or
back a step.
stepson, threw a hissy fit and there was a mistake made.
Right.
And what does that teach kids? Like, one mistake, we end it
all.
peace out?
Yeah.
Like, or we're uprooting our lives? Like, everyone's going to make mistakes. Everyone's going to freak out. Everyone's going to say
Even if things
things.
were perfect at this point, like, something's eventually going to happen,
Totally.
It's
no
like,
one walks on
it's
water.
like being a motorcycle rider, if you've ridden a motorcycle, you've either gone down, you've either crashed, or you're eventually going to crash. Like, it's one of those things, like, it's
It's inevitable.
It's an unwritten law, or rule that,
Yeah.
You're going to crash at some point in time.
And some things,
riding a bicycle.
And really, too, I always stress, like, once you walk down the aisle and you make that commitment, it's pretty serious, right? So
It should be.
I think things happen for a reason. So if you're not married and this has happened and it's, I think it's an overreaction. If you've made like living together and doing the blended family thing, when you decide to live together and join your lives, that's as good as married. I mean, to rip kids in and out of household situations is a pretty big deal.
Right.
To ask them to live with someone and then to dissolve it,
You obviously care so much about the person at that point too. Like, you guys are pretty committed at that.
Right. And so things happen for a reason. So maybe take pause and really think about, is this right? Because kids will destroy marriages if you allow it. I mean, look what's happened now. You're not even married. And so kids, because parents always have an allegiance to their biological children. It is just what is, and so I would just take pause and really reflect on how this happened, because also, is this a pattern with your man? Things get hard, he's out, because lots of shit comes your way in a marriage, right? So I don't know. And she also, in her update that she sent me after she sent in this, she said that they're just having a friendship right now. They're not even romantically involved. And I'm like, that's another step back too. Like, you've moved out and now you have a friendship, and I guess that's sweet and, always really good.
Well, it could be, it can go both ways, because it's awesome to be able to have a friendship and build a friendship, because that's going to kind of be your foundation. But what's the reason behind it? Are you guys just not romantically into each other, or are you just having a friendship because it's too hard to have a romantic friendship with the kids involved? Like, get to the root of that too. How come you guys went back a step? How come you guys are now
a lot of steps, like, on every
as
level.
As far as that is, like, figure out why you guys are taking steps back and why you're not taking steps forward, and kind of pinpoint what each one of those are, and figure out, are those hurdles that we're gonna be able to climb over? Are those fences? Are those walls?
Does this child have that much control over your man? And
or your relationship.
I don't say that disrespectfully, because I'm a parent and I get it. We get pulled in a lot of directions by our kids, and we kind of got to self-correct back to our marriage. And that is a battle I think most married couples and blended families tend to face. But it's better to know now, because it's always going to be an issue, in some level. I mean, and especially because they won. You guys don't live together. So now they know, or she knows, that it works. Whatever buttons pushed, and do you want to walk on eggshells your whole life? Yes, you may have overstepped, and yes, you may have lost your shit. You're human. But does that mean you can never be yourself again? Does that mean you can never, ever, ever speak your mind, or heaven forbid you lose your temper or say the wrong thing? Because that's going to happen. Like, eventually you are
It
going,
happens to all of us. And
or do you have to swallow sand? I mean, I swallow sand enough. I don't swallow sand for a living.
she's a seagull, an angry seagull. Look that up in Urban Dictionary.
But I don't know. I just think it's a good time. You have an opportunity to either reset or remove yourself, or to just really consider what is really going on here, and maybe he's not ready for a relationship. So maybe he just needs a friend for the foreseeable future. It sounds like if he's super depressed over this, this is exactly why Eric and I were friends first. We both were in such a bad headspace with how our divorces ended. We weren't even looking to be romantically involved, never mind, living together and all these things. Like, our headspace, and if you're not in that same headspace that he's in, we were able to understand that about each other and have just a platonic friendship, because that's all we had to give and all we really wanted to receive, because we were so broken. But if you're in a different spot, it really is hard to understand where he's at too. And he may just not be ready. He might have bit more off than he can chew, or he's trying to distract himself with jumping into something else before he's ready, because it feels good to have someone love you. But if you're not ready to give that love back, it's not a healthy situation for anyone. And I think kids pick up on that.
For sure.
So if you need more, you can always write me back.
Need more advice? Stay till the end of this podcast, because we're going to be telling you how to win connecting the book.
Yep.
So we
All
mentioned
right.
that at the beginning, but if you guys are just tuning in, we're going to be giving this book, two of these books,
Yeah.
signed by the
Connecting.
author. Yeah. So
Yep.
learn how to win it at the end of this podcast.
Alrighty. A third situation.
Before we get going too, if you guys are new here, would you guys please subscribe if you're enjoying this, if you're watching it on YouTube, or hit that thumbs up, or if you guys are listening to this, enjoy it. Giving
How come
us
we have no chats
good reviews
happening?
or ratings. I don't know. Are you guys watching us?
And why are you?
Who's on here watching us? And if you are, type with us.
Yeah, because I can't see Instagram. It's too far away. I'm sorry, you guys.
We are on live chat, though. We will talk back to you
On our YouTube channel.
on our YouTube channel.
Okay, so the third topic that someone wrote in about was finding it difficult to co-parent together. So, to know when to discipline each other's kid. We want to feel like we're a family, and I try to treat the kids as equally as possible. I find it's easier to get annoyed by the other's child, even when my kid is just as annoying. You're not alone in that. His son doesn't have a mother in his life. I've pretty much taken on the role. We're getting closer, but I still don't feel comfortable disciplining him. And so she says, I usually ask his father to take care of it, and she feels like she wants more respect from his, her man's son, but his father is okay with letting him be disrespectful to him and to other people in the house. So it's hard because I don't want to be the bad guy, or everything changed because I'm here now. But then dad wonders why his son acts a certain way, and I believe it's because he gets away with it. Obviously, quarantine has helped shed a lot of light on a few issues we have in our home.
Yep.
I just don't like the feeling to just make it through the day.
Right.
So I think that this is a really relevant, hot blended family topic, it's like a dance, especially when you're just now moving in together and you are trying to establish, like, when do I step in? When do I step back?
Well, going through this whole COVID thing right now too, everyone's together quite often, and talk about shining a magnifying glass on things. You and I were talking about this, and you and I have had a routine with our kids for a long time, and our kids have kind of had their own routines, but now they're getting into like this COVID routine where they're becoming lazy. You know what? And I say that like kind of laughingly because there isn't a lot for them to do. They've already been at home a lot, schooling from home. That hasn't been a big push, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like summertime. It's like, haven't we been in summer for the last months, you know? And some of our kids don't see the day of light, you know, unless we force them out of the house or something forces them out of the house. You know, our kids are just, and we were talking about this like less than a day ago. And it's like, we need to come up with something to get the kids kind of moving again in different directions than what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I kind of get it. Like you're seeing weird little quirks or habits forming that maybe you didn't notice before. And she's like, okay, I have to take on this role and I'm not quite comfortable with it yet. But all that comes in time. I think the parenting role, the step parenting role is one of those things that it's like falling in love. You know, you'll just know when you're there and there's no rushing it. There's no putting on a date. It's not like, you know what, I'm going to be in love with this person in 6 months from now. You know, it's kind of the same thing with the step parent role. You know, it's like if I'm not a step parent to this person, you know, or this kid in 6 months, then I'm never going to be a step parent. It's like, no, it's just going to happen in its own time.
Or it won't. I just think there's
Or it won't.
Not every two personalities are going to click. Just because you connect and click with your spouse doesn't mean you're going to connect and click with their kid.
But here's where I always disagree with you on this every single time we talk about this. Like a step parent's still a step parent. Whether you click with the kid or
totally.
not, you still take on that role to an extent. And that's up to us as the grown-ups in this situation to become, you know, the best step parent that we can. And I know you and I have
be
both,
the best that you can be.
I mean, really, though, you know, in the blended family. So
we could just totally make that a shirt.
yes, there's another shirt, you guys. Who's going to go back and
all of our shirt ideas?
I know.
You know, here's something that parents need to understand, and I think is really frustrating for step parents, because I think, you know, you're in good company because your own kid shit doesn't stink. Somebody else's kid shit,
Dude,
you want to vomit.
Stinks.
But, you know, like when you're changing diapers, okay, as a parent, you're changing your kids' diapers. You get through it. It doesn't really bug you. If I had to go change our neighbor's kids' diapers, you know, I'd probably be vomiting in the corner.
What about the old man across the street that
Same,
wears diapers?
You know, but I'll probably have to change your diapers. So
Says
it's all relative.
Peter Pants.
So here's the thing. It's normal for other people's kids, not even just your spouse's, but other people's kids to annoy you a lot more than your own kids.
For sure.
Because you would probably kill your kids, hypothetically, not really serious. You know what
Don't
I mean?
Put that
But
in
like
writing.
you it's something that, you know, it just happens within you that you tolerate your kids more than anyone else in this world can tolerate your kids. And so let yourself off the hook for that. That's normal. What's really hard for step parents, because we don't have that innate bond with our children, with our stepkids, right? They weren't born from us. We didn't make them. So it's different than having a biological child, you know, especially if your kids come in age, you know, not babies. I think if you raise a kid as a baby, it's a little bit different, or super young. But, you know,
Is that a dog in your pants, or are you just happy to see me?
It's hard because step parents are screaming, you know, what you allow is what will continue. So if a bio parent is allowing disrespectful behavior, annoying behavior, and quite honestly, it may not bother them because, like we were just discussing, you're just not bothered by it. It's your own kid. But anyone else's kid did it, it would bother you. So if a parent allows behaviors, then they will continue, step parent or not. I always believe that bio parent trumps step parent in a home. You know, if step parent says no and bio parent's like, no, that's fine.
Can you guys hear my blood pressure boiling over?
Are you gonna? Why don't you go take a break?
I'm getting so angry at them.
Oh, well,
They're
I'm
at
sure
the front
everyone
door
has dogs.
or at the front window barking at neighbors walking their dogs.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, we do this podcast from our house
Yeah.
with yappy little dogs.
And it's hard to co-parent together when you're a step parent with a bioparent because, again, bioparent just trumps everything. And so I think step parents, right, are more of a support to the bioparent. So they lead and you kind of support that. And, you know, it's what's worth the struggle of your marriage. You know, when you're in a relationship, there's a lot of things that both of us, I feel like, just don't, it's not worth it. It's not worth making it an issue because I'll speak for myself. Like, I'm not going to have my marriage suffer because of the kids. Just not worth it to me. You know, especially if it's a situation where I'm a step parent and doesn't matter if it bugs me, it's not going to change. You know, he's just going to get offended, you know, and then say, well, you do something about it. Because I'm not, you do it, you know, and then it just causes, like, I'm fucking annoyed now. Like, no, you're the parent, you handle it. So.
Are you annoyed as I am?
You're more annoyed. But you know how, so things get really turned into a marital struggle when it comes to the kids. And so I think every couple needs to find the path of least resistance as long as there's basic respect there. Like, I think kids need to respect adults in the home, period. And so it's a hard dance, and you just got to figure it out as you go in time. And if you're not comfortable disciplining his kid, that's okay. Like, express that to him. Hopefully you are with somebody who is willing to step up and take those reins until you are comfortable, or, you know, support you through that, you know, figure out what his expectations are and see if you can meet them. These are the conversations that people need to have before they get married. You know, what are your expectations of me as a step parent? Do I want to do that? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
You know? And I just think that don't wait until you're married to have those conversations. Have those conversations really early on when you guys are like, this is serious. We're going to live together. We're going to do life. You guys need to know what the expectation is of step parents, because I think a lot of people marry someone. I think my dad actually did this, my biological father. Mm-hmm. I think he married a mother for his children more than like a wife. Like, he married somebody who would cook and clean, care for the kids his kids during the day, and he would go be the breadwinner, and he wasn't really interested in doing the caregiving portion of parenthood. You know, that children were his thing. So he needed somebody, when he divorced my mom, to step into that role and fulfill it. And he married someone who was happy to step into that role, and she cooked and she cleaned and she grocery shopped. She did everything. She didn't have to work because my dad provided. And that they matched very well because that was the expectation.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I just think that is something that you need. And not a lot of people want that. There's like the nacho kid method of life that everyone subscribes to. And, you know, what?
Hi, Darcel. She's meal prepping right now, listening to us. How are you tonight? I hope you're making something good. Meal prep is such an awesome thing if you can do it.
Is it awesome? You should show me how.
That's what I'm saying. What a task, but what a rewarding task. So good for you for doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right.
I'm curious what's for dinner.
So this also, I highlighted, it stuck out to me that she said, I just don't like feeling just make it through the day.
Ugh.
I think, you know, we all feel like that some days.
Some of us more than others, more often.
Fucking day.
It's
every
okay.
fucking day.
All right, here. We're
going
to leave this on for you. I'll just leave this on for you.
You know.
What was the joke about driving a car off a cliff?
Every fucking day.
Jeez. We're going to just be labeled explicit.
Explicit.
Yeah.
Explit? What's explit?
Explicit, yes. We're going to get the black and white label. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I love black and white. My two favorite colors. They're not colors, they're shades.
I don't think so. I think they're colors. Your favorite colors of the rainbow?
Yeah, but I think that a lot of
and gold
life is just make it through the day sometimes. And you're not alone in that.
And gold.
All right, moving on.
Those are her three favorite colors.
Okay.
Black, white, and gold.
So next one.
Is gold a color?
Gold
Really,
is a metal.
But is it a color?
No.
How about when you walk into the Apple store and you say, I want a gold watch? What's that mean?
I want a metal watch.
Yeah, but every other one like comes as a color. You want a red one? You want
Gold
a black
is its own color. I don't fucking know. Why are we talking about this right now?
Because you just said black and white aren't colors; they're shades.
Okay. There seems to be a lack of structure at Biomom's house. So stepson stays up till 1 or 2 a.m. playing Fortnite this is my life.
Did my ex write into us?
Did I write into us?
Did you write into us? Your stepchild stays up till 1. You know what, though?
No, my stepchild stays up till like 4 a.m.
Sometimes, if I don't
It's ridiculous. I don't agree with it. It's ridiculous.
I know you don't,
whatever.
but you know what? I'm so proud of that
say.
kid because unlike the rest of us, that kid's actually going to start, like, just got accepted to start making money on YouTube. So I'm very proud of him for that. He's been working towards a goal. And if your kids play Fortnite, check out Buddy Boy 805. Buddy Boy 805, giving him a shout out.
I'm just going to start over. There seems
He's probably
to
playing
be
Fortnite right
a
now.
lack of structure at Biomom's house. He stays up till 1 or 2 a.m. It's not
4.
that bad. Playing Fortnite and always comes to our house extremely tired and grumpy and doesn't seem to be motivated to do anything except play on the Xbox. If we ask him to do anything or provide any limitations, it's the end of the world. My husband and I are usually on the same page, but when we aren't, I find myself feeling annoyed and frustrated. I don't want him to become entitled and lazy. Sometimes I have to take a step back and think I am trying to be too involved in this and think, am I trying to be too involved as a stepmom? Sometimes I feel stuck and don't want to overstep boundaries. Yeah, I mean, you have no control. Bioparents win.
Yeah, but you're also
Totally.
But you're also being concerned. You're like, good for you for being a concerned
Doesn't
parent.
matter.
It does.
Why?
Because all those little voices add up to something. Like
A big zero.
Okay.
Truly, like, here's the deal. Like, not your problem. If the kid's allowed to do it and the bioparents are allowing kid to do this, that's what it's gonna be. Like, get some sleep or figure out something else to worry about because, if they're gonna allow it and the kid's gonna be grumpy because they have no sleep and they can't participate in normal household activities or go out and do stuff because they're tired from being up all night, then the other parent who allowed that to happen or agrees with that can deal with it.
You know what, though? But also, don't let that be an excuse for the kid to get out of things. And I'm saying this from experience. If you guys need to wake up at 8 a.m., because you need to be to church by 9 a.m. because that's what your family thing is. And, your kid's staying up till, 1 or 2 in the morning and having a hard time getting up. Like, oh, well, make them learn that these types of things do have consequences. Don't be lenient. And because once you start being lenient about it, that's where that entitlement comes in. That's where things start to change, So you need to treat and create boundaries that are the same and not give special treatment for stuff like that, So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. If you have no control, you have no control. You just got to roll down the hill and take your car off a cliff. Just kidding. Don't do that. I'll do that for you.
You need a passenger?
But I don't, I think that here's what I think. If you feel like something your stepchild is doing and a habit, a behavior is harmful to them for whatever reason.
Or the household.
I think that you have a moral obligation to at least broach the subject with your spouse, the bioparent. If bioparent does it's not a problem or oh well or well, that's just going to be it. Well, then you can at least lay your head on your pillow at night knowing you did your due diligence and brought it up. And a lot of times that's where it begins and ends. Very rarely is a bioparent going to be like, oh my gosh, you're so right.
Yeah, but
I totally agree with you. We need to have some kind of boundaries and structure. Either people are about that or they're not.
But you know what? Those little voices, though, like I said a minute ago, those all do add up because anytime you and I talk about something, and I'm just putting this into our situation, it makes me think of things. It makes me be more aware, and maybe things don't change right away.
Maybe things don't change.
Right away. Finish my
Right away.
words.
Right away.
Fake news. And you know what? But things do change, and different things come from it. You're so sarcastic. If you guys
What
could see
did
the
I
look on her
do?
face, she's like, this is why we get the bad reviews. That look right there.
I'm just a realist.
She's super real, you guys.
I'm just, I have seen it in being a step kid. I've seen it with my own parents and being a step parent and being around the step family situation my entire life. What I do know is that bioparents have the control and the final say. And I don't think that's wrong. I'm not sitting here like that's wrong and they shouldn't have it. I'm a bioparent myself. I enjoy having the final say.
Yeah, but you know what?
Okay, I think it
look at
also
it like
gives
this.
me understanding.
If you can become a better team with your spouse, and then you both have the say in it, the final say, like what a better team, But when you're thinking like that, when you're thinking like they're always going to have the final say no matter what, and I always want to have the final say no matter what, that's what creates that divide in the blended family.
But I just think that's what is.
It is, of course, that's what is. Like, that's what is if that's all you think about, and that's the only way that it ever is.
Because
once you start working as a team,
what does that look like?
Let's figure it out. We'll tell you guys in a couple months once we figure this out.
Well, because here's how I feel. If I bring something, or you bring something to my attention, and you're like, I don't think that your daughter should be doing this. And here's why. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I disagree with you.
Right. Which happens.
Is that being a team?
No. But it could be. It could be like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like maybe I monitor that a little bit closer, and maybe I pick and choose, a little bit differently. But at least now it's been brought to light. So if I do see an issue in it, like, I don't know. It totally could be a good thing if it's like, if one of the parents in the household has an issue with something, you guys, we're going to talk about this. We're going to work through this, and we're going to come up with a compromise that works for our household. But when you're only like, it's black or white, my two favorite colors, then it's only ever going to be black or white, and you're never going to have that gold.
See, I love what you're saying, but that's just not how it plays out in our home.
In our home, but I'm not saying
either way.
But I'm not saying that it can't work out in any other home. Now,
maybe you guys do better than us.
You guys could be better than us because we are only human. Maybe you guys are superhuman. But you know what? In other households, there are those perfect meshes where it's like stepmom
totally
absolutely gets along great with stepson, and they have the best bond and relationship ever, and they are just that perfect.
It does happen.
Picture perfect blended family. And that's what I'm saying. So if you can work towards that, and that's something that you guys can become, or that's a goal that you guys want to set for your blended family, then do it, and just because we say what we don't do doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
That is true.
We're not perfect, you guys.
Okay. Is it wrong of me not to want anything to do with the ex and biomom? I'm at the stage now where I do not trust her because she is still nice one day and ugly the next. But moreover, I don't want to have a relationship with her because I do not want to befriend her. And there ever come a day where we bond. I feel like it's best to have a boundary. I can find anything likable in someone. I don't want to like her. I will respect she is a biomom, and I do, but we do not need to be Facebook friends or exchange funny texts, etc. I just don't see how that ever keeps the sanctity of my relationship with my fiancé. This is just what is on my heart as I struggle daily with avoiding interaction with her. I still think she needs to be communicating with Dad, and I'm also dealing with her via stuff she does to him that is unpredictable and emotionally charged and triggered.
Like that perfect looking blended family. You know what? Your feelings are your feelings, and they're valid. And
Better to have no relationship with someone than a drama-filled one.
Or a fake one.
Or
Like,
a
why are you
fake
going to
one.
sit there and fake it if it's not real? You know?
That's marriage. I was just
we
kidding.
should do we should do a whole episode on fake it till you make it.
That'd be amazing.
Maybe we do.
Okay.
But you know what? Like, you realize this right now. Like, don't go friending her on Facebook and sending those stupid little texts. If it's not genuine, don't do it. Did I say that wrong, or is it genuine?
Yeah. And, I think God gives us a gut for a reason. So if you have, gut feelings and intuition and all that, I think that is God-given. And so I think that we don't listen to that enough, And so if you already feel like it's just bad news bears to engage with her, then don't. Maybe you'll feel different later, and that's fine. Maybe 10 years into your marriage, an olive branch comes your way, or you extend one and your heart changes. Be open to that as well.
Right.
I would just stay open to any possibility, but if your gut and your intuition is just like, probably not a good idea. And it's also hard to interact with someone who's constantly disrupting your spouse, husband, fiance's life. How can you be friends with somebody who's hurting somebody? You know, and that's kind of that fake thing
that's
that
what makes
Eric was talking about.
Yeah, that's what makes me think about it the most, If there's not a need to connect, it's going to be just fake, and it's not going to feel good, and it's at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of wasted time.
Yeah, and what comes from it?
Yeah.
No good.
But
you're now being vulnerable.
She did say in there that she would continue to, coordinate,
Well, she said that she still thinks she needs to be communicating with Dad, of course. Like there's
of course, but keep out as much as you can, and those times that you do have to communicate, keep it cordial, keep it, short,
Smile,
but not short to where you're just like being short to be bitchy almost, No. Do it to be like, okay, yes, I got, his soccer cleats, thank you.
Yes.
Not like, oh yeah, it was a big shopping trip, and we tried on Velcro cleats, and then we tried on rubber cleats, and
tried on rubbers.
There's rubber cleats for like running. Anyways, some of us are.
Yeah, don't overshare your life with somebody who you don't trust. So I think, thank you. Sounds good. Perfect. Okay. All great short answers.
Thumbs up emoji.
Probably not.
Oh.
That's just as much of an emoji.
You think that it's a middle finger emoji? I give her the thumbs up all the time.
Fucking hate the thumbs up emoji.
It's
like not even worth the words.
Half the time, this is how I send the thumbs up emoji. If you guys are watching on YouTube.
Use those nose.
Because like my hands will be dirty and I'll be doing something. I'm doing something, yeah. And it's like I scroll through with my nose and press it.
You're multi-talented, love.
Multi-talented.
You're the most talented person I know.
Well, thank you.
I tell you this all the time.
All the time.
Don't I?
Yep. Can do it with no hands.
So, all right. Moving on. So we talked about this last week, I think, but here's an update. It's about, well, I'll just read it. Biomom is insisting that I cannot consider myself a stepmom because we aren't married, and that her boys do not need to partake in our family events with my family because we aren't married. They have stopped referring to my brother and sister as aunt and uncle like they did for almost 3 years now, and even started calling my mom by her first name. I feel like we're regressing, and every time we make strides in our family, Biomom is there to talk them out of it, and they resist it even more. I'm not sure if we're supposed to encourage them that we are a family or just let them regress and not consider us. Because if we encourage, Biomom will step in and cause friction, and if we just let them regress, we are showing the boys that when they feel uncomfortable with something, they can just run to mom and she can make us change it.
Thumbs up emoji to her.
Who?
The Biomom. You know what? If Biomom's talking the kids out of this when they're at the other house, like, shame on her, but it's not your place to put shame on her. It's the kids that will realize shame on her in 10, 15, 20 years from now. You guys, as the parents, see this happening, and it's so frustrating, and you really just want to scream about it, and it eats you up from the inside because we've been there, and you feel this just anger. But you know what? The kids also see and feel that too. So if the kids are getting fed something else at the other house and they come over and it's spilling out to calling grandparents by or what would be step grandparents by first names now, and aunt and uncles by, or what would be aunt and uncles by first names now, you know what? Let them do that. Be the bigger person here. Don't make a big deal out of it. Maybe let them know, like, you guys are welcome to call them whatever. We're not going to force you one way or another. You call them what you're comfortable with, and we're comfortable with that in our household. Don't even bring up the other mom. Don't let the other parent dictate what happens in your house, but also don't let them dictate how that feels, because the kids are going to feel that too. So if that's what's happening, swallow sand, because that's your favorite thing to do. And one day the kids are going to realize, man, we were getting manipulated at this other house, and my parents just sat there and loved us anyways.
That's right. That's right.
And that's the only way you can handle that. That's not going to screw up the kids, because if you tell them, no, you're going to call them, grandma and grandpa or aunt and uncle, and you fight back and forth with them, now the kids are stuck in this weird headspace, not knowing what to do, because one parent's telling them one thing that's going against what the other parent's telling them, and now you're just screwing up their world. So,
well, and if you're pressuring them into something, you're no better than the bio mom.
Right.
And kids get really confused in the push-pull. So I would just take yourself out of the push-pull game and rise above it. And when the kids are with you, of course, the kids are expected to go to any family function you and your you guys are going to as a family. The kids go. Right. They don't really have a choice.
It doesn't matter if it's family or if it's friends.
Like, you guys are going to a barbecue, you all are going to the barbecue.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. Like, kids don't really get a vote in where they go when they're with you.
Yep. And neither does the other parent. That isn't part of your household.
Yeah, you don't get to dictate what where biomom takes kids.
Unless there's like some weird restraining order or the kids are in some type of harm's way.
Yeah.
And it has been a court issued thing that they can't do this. Like, if it's not none of that, like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't let this bring down your family, because now all of a sudden, we talked about this a few weeks ago. You guys are going to start bonding on negativity, and negativity is going to be what's inside your household.
Well, and then the end of the day, biomom is controlling your home. Yep. And so I think you just need to push her aside,
without telling her.
But yes, quiet the noise, smile and nod at her, pat her on the head, let her be on her merry way. And when the kids are with you, you love them. You do not pressure them. You accept them, you embrace them, they go where you go, they do what you do, you discipline them if they need to be disciplined. You're a standalone home. You're a standalone home. The biomom has her standalone home, and you can talk to the kids also, like, hey, it must be really hard for you. I think this was the advice I gave last time we were talking about this. Set the kids down and say, it must be really hard that you feel pressured to do and act and be and call. And I just want you to know there's no pressure here. Like, you're required to be here because, you need to see your parent, and we are going to always fight for that. But, we're taking the pressure off. And I think kids can, when they feel like they can calm down, it'll mean more later. They're going to be able to have a true, genuine bond versus a fake one that they resent later.
And one final thought on this too. When you guys do finally become married, if that's the plan, and say it's 2 months from now, I'm just saying hypothetically, don't be like, hey, now we're married, now you have to call them grandma and grandpa, now you have to call them aunt and uncle. Don't change anything. Leave it what it is. And if your kids call them that, let them call them that. If they don't,
Yeah.
Be all right with that.
Yeah. Let kids come to it in their
Yeah.
own time. And don't let this play out in your head anymore. Like, just put it to bed, you know.
Good night.
Good night. All right.
Is it the giveaway time?
Giveaway time.
Giveaway time.
Instagram got cut off.
Oh, we don't actually get to give it away tonight, though.
We're going to announce the winner next week's podcast.
Okay.
And so what you have to do to win this book.
Connecting. By
Connecting.
Bernardo Salcido III. I didn't even know he was a third.
Really?
He's number 1 in my book. No pun intended.
Yeah.
He's
Eric's
awesome
actually
guy.
friends with him. So,
They're family. They're great, great people.
Yeah. And
I want to hold one too.
okay. So step 1, there's two major steps you have to do.
And this is
First,
step 1.
you need to be a subscriber of our YouTube channel. So
And we will check it. I will check fact checked.
Yeah. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. When you subscribe to our YouTube channel, find this episode.
This episode is called Blended Family Discipline.
Okay. Find this episode, and then you're going to comment.
Episode number 51.
You're going to comment your name, how many kids you guys have, and how long you've been a blended family. Okay. So you're going to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're going to find episode 51, which is tonight's
Blended Family
episode.
Discipline. Can I subscribe and win this book? Oh.
No. And then you're going to put your name. You're going to put how many kids you have, and then you're going to put how long you've been a blended family. You do not have to be married if you are in a blended family situation, just how long that's been.
Okay.
The second thing you need to do is go over to Instagram and follow us on Instagram. Then you need to find on Instagram this podcast episode's post, which is not up yet. If you're listening live right now or viewing live, but it will be later tonight. So you're going to tag 3 people who might enjoy blended life or what we have to offer.
All right.
In the comment section.
So this is just a good thing anyways. Like, people are just stoked on this anyways, right?
Yeah. So subscribe to our YouTube.
Yes.
Comment your name, how many kids you have, and how long you've been in a blended family. Go over to Instagram, follow us on Instagram, and then tag 3 of your friends in the comment section on tonight's podcast post. And then next week, we're going to pick 2 people at random. We'll probably have one of the kids do it.
Well, that'd be fun.
So that we're not biased, because I interact with people, you interact with people. So we'll have the kids do it, and then we'll announce the winners next week. And then we will be getting in touch with you for your address, and we will mail these off.
And that's how you will win Connecting. Thank you guys for listening, watching, subscribing, thumbsing up this video,
Yep.
leaving those comments. And we look forward to talking with you next week.
Bye, guys.